in a beautiful nation brutalized by a chaotic civil war. Where self-appointed generals turned children into soldiers, taught to kill, to rape, to sow fear throughout the land. Who will find a path to peace for those who've known only war? Only those with the courage of their convictions.
My faith tells me that God created all things and He called them good. I believe in every human being there is the nature of good.
The Bible says there was a black man named Simon of Cyrene. Hallelujah.
Every Sunday, Reverend Jervis Witherspoon raises the roof in a storefront church in the heart of Monrovia, the capital of Liberia. The nation was founded in 1847 by ex-slaves from America, whose descendants struggled against colonial powers and Cold War adversaries to retain Liberia's independence. Just as these battles seemed won, the country was racked by an internal conflict so bitter, Liberians now call it World War III. Desiring fighters who would do their bidding, no matter how bloody, generals on all sides began recruiting children as young as 8.
The child soldiers really were abused and misused by the generals and the warlords. They were drugged, they were indoctrinated to kill people, even their own relatives.
Some were offered a ghastly choice. Shoot your mother and we will let the rest of your family live. The generals reckoned that once a child has killed their mother, they can be compelled to do anything.
I started fighting when I was 10 years of age. I was caught by a rebel. I wanted to go back to my people, but there was no way, so I just stayed there.
I was a bigger little boy when I got on the front line. My mother was killed in front of me. I survived the beat her and left her to her death. She would whip, put fire in your hair. That got me angry about me. I took arm.
Of a population of over 3 million, Liberia's World War III killed 250,000. Neighboring countries finally responded, as did the world community. The largest UN peacekeeping force in history imposed a precarious peace. In a devastated land with its social fabric in tatters, 100,000 former ex-combatants were set adrift, homeless, uneducated outcasts.
A lot of people believe that ex-combatants, are people who could not learn or who could not fit within the society as productive citizens.
But if society makes no place for them, what then?
Huge pressure is coming to start. Everybody's going to start looking for it on their own.
I can only forgive them, but I can't forget what went on.
Fearing renewed violence, Liberia's president turns for guidance to her personal pastor, Jervis Witherspoon. She gives Jervis the toughest job in the nation's history.
She requested that I head the commission for the ex-combatants.
Jervis begins his mission by recruiting a man whose opinions Liberians respect.
Jonathan Raffle is one of our most seasoned journalists that we have. Jonathan was a young journalist when I was a little boy, and every time the news came on, both radio and television, you would see Jonathan's face.
Before during the war?
Jonathan has interviewed scores of child soldiers.
One
so you are with the GOI.
The war went on for 27 years. We lost generations. Our people are still, especially our young people, are still in a daze. Who are we? Where are we going? What do we need to do? School years and school days were lost. So in terms of human development of the mind and social interaction, I think those were wasted years and wasted days.
I believe that all Liberians are tired with war, even the ex-combatants. The Bible does say that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we don't want the minds of Liberians to remain idle. We must get them engaged.
Before he can engage the minds of former child soldiers, he must convince them to lay down their arms. For help, he reaches out to the only man many ex-combatants trust.
The new strategy was adopted to bring on board 16 generals from each of the warring factions. I would like to specifically introduce Mr. Talbot. He happens to be a former general.
Tolbert was recruited at the age of 10, and by 15, commanded a regiment known as the Baby Killers.
What was your name when you were General what? General Devil.
A persona he struggled to leave behind. Reverend Witherspoon plans to send the former general and 15 other ex-warlords into the countryside to convince former child soldiers to disarm. Can the men who taught them to kill guide them on a path to peace? In the aftermath of Liberia's brutal civil war, Reverend Jervis Witherspoon leads an effort to disarm former child soldiers. It will be the second attempt at a difficult task.
The United Nations missions in Liberia went out for the disarmament of ex-combatants. And the first trial had to be brought to a halt because there were some violent activities that took place that led to the death of about 6 persons. So it had to be halted. And the strategy that they used had to be changed.
Jervis's change strategy will be an audacious one. Use the men most responsible for war to consolidate the fragile peace. He sends 16 former generals into the countryside to convince ex-combatants to turn in their weapons.
All of those who participated in the war as fighters were disarmed and demobilized.
Ex-combatants surrender their guns to UN peacekeepers. In return, they receive a one-time payment equivalent to $150 US. Heavily guarded collection centers fill up with firearms, boxes of ammunition, and artillery shells.
According to the database, there were 103,000 ex-combatants that were disarmed.
Some ex-combatants surrender even heavier ordnance, crates filled with anti-tank missiles and the trucks that carry them. All are transported to a remote area. The biggest weapons are bulldozed into an open pit. Other pits are dug by hand for guns and ammunition. Charges are laid. The idea is to put the tools of war out of commission forever.
Bed number 1, ready to fire. Firing now!
those weapons were burned and destroyed, and there should be no more of such weapons around.
Ex-combatants are encouraged to sign up for education and rehabilitation. Most have never seen the inside of a classroom.
Because I want to attend back in my school. I'm in the 6th grade. I want to add my school up. If you now go to school, you learn that you can't be nobody.
What I want to do, I want to do something in my life what will benefit me.
Today, Jervis and key team member Jonathan Reffel journey to a rehabilitation center to check on the progress of 2,000 ex-combatants.
In the previous administration, they would keep a distance from the ex-combatants. But my own way of approach is to reach out to them. This school is called the MVTC, the Monrovia Vocational Training Center.
Here, the emphasis is on practical, marketable skills.
These are holes, right? Where you do farming with. Oh, for masonry, okay. The Bible does say that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So what are some of the things that you've learned to fabricate?
You give us any technical job there, we can do it.
These ex-combatants are becoming people who are career-minded. So what do you intend to do after this whole training process?
I still want to continue my work.
I think you have only 2 more months, right? All right, so try to complete it, get your certificate, and they all are trying to gain some form of transformation to become better citizens. I'm very impressed. I'm very, very, very impressed with what you are doing. I want to encourage you to keep up the good work, okay? All right, and God bless you.
Jervis is impressed, in part because not long ago, many in this room were mortal enemies.
You will find it difficult in the society where we live in, like, you don't know who you're fighting for, like, somebody come and say, oh, they're raping your mother, they're beating your brothers and sisters.
Sometimes I put myself in the shoe of the ex-combatant. I ask the question, if I were around and had, you know, situations where my entire family was at risk, what would I do?
The thing that really made me to join the war, it was because when the people came in our town, they began to fight, started killing our people in front of us.
The transition to peace is especially difficult for young women, girls, who grew up not just as child soldiers, but also as victims of sexual assault.
Some of the women took the challenge to go into trade areas that were mainly for the masculine gender.
I feel certified while I see my brothers and sisters, we are working together.
That people are used to seeing women as mechanics.
If I go for job training as a woman, they will ask me and they will put me on a test. And I make sure I do that test and pass the test. And I will be qualified.
Some resist change because their violent past has become part of their identity.
So what's your name?
This student has yet to give up his nom de guerre.
So you're the former president of Kenya. That's the name you have? That's the name you carry?
That's the name I use during the war. My real name is David Charlie.
But your certificate will carry what? Jomo Kenyatta. It could affect you tomorrow, okay?
All right.
If you have a problem with it, just contact me. I will see what can be done to help you.
Rehabilitation cannot heal the invisible scars of war or assure these former child soldiers a place in society.
There is an unemployment rate in the country of over 85%, and jobs are very rare. That is one of our greatest nightmares right now, is the job placement aspect of our program.
A nightmare because of what desperate, unemployed ex-combatants could so easily become. Jervis receives word that former child soldiers who've refused rehabilitation have moved into a nearby village. UN soldiers are placed on alert. The reason? When ex-combatants gather as old friends, there's a danger they'll return to old ways. The war is not over in every heart. In the aftermath of Liberia's brutal civil war, Reverend Jervis Witherspoon wants every former child soldier to join his rehabilitation program.
And I think we have to try to develop a way to get this message across to the private sector or to the community.
To give the peaceful alternative mass appeal, Jervis turns to some Liberian celebrities.
I'm Chichi Wallo. I did a song first. After the war, every other Liberian have to come together and contribute towards the peace.
This young man just, wrote his song, gathered people, other ex-combatants, and they produced this CD.
A message to tell the ex-con to go back to school, make use of the golden opportunity, and then that it's never too late to learn.
Rehabilitation participation rises to 60,000 former child soldiers. That still leaves 40,000 on the streets, with no education except how to fight and kill. Jervis is determined to reach them all.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When I become disillusioned, when I become tired, fatigued, and just need to be rejuvenated, and I look up to the Lord, and a lot of times I'm strengthened just by knowing that He's with me.
Today, Jervis receives word that a number of former child soldiers have taken up residence in a nearby village.
Whenever you have a group of people together like ex-combatants, that's a situation we have to watch very closely.
UN soldiers are placed on alert.
Normally when there's trouble, they are the first that we dispatch there to take all of the blows.
But this time, Jervis and Jonathan decide to deal with the situation themselves. They hope a non-threatening approach will convince the ex-combatants to consider rehabilitation. In the village square, Jervis and Jonathan easily identify several ex-combatants.
What is your name?
Daniel Bien.
Billionaire Carlos.
Billionaire Carlos. That your real name, Billionaire Carlos? Okay.
Billionaire has retained his nom de guerre. Jervis draws him out.
Okay, Billionaire. At what age you started fighting?
10 years.
And what is your age now?
Now 19.
Do you want to go through the program to be trained, or you feeling giving up on it?
I'm a mechanic man.
Oh, you're mechanic man?
Yes.
So that means you also have found something to do.
Yes.
And you satisfied with the work you are doing?
Yes.
You satisfied with the work you are doing?
Yes. Nobody support me on my job and do everything.
Your job does everything for you.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Junior Dennis, what year did you start fighting?
1992. I'm 23 years old.
8 years old. Were you disarmed? Did you people turn in arms?
Yes, I was here disarmed.
Design began.
Daniel, when did you actually, at what age did you start, fighting as a combatant?
I started fighting in 1992 during my SBU down in Banga.
And at the year 1992?
Yeah, 92.
Okay, what is your age now?
My age now, I'm 25 years old.
You are 25 years old. All right, Jonathan, do the calculation.
1992, 2007, that's 15 years ago.
15 years ago, and you're 25. So he actually started at the age of 10. Wow. You handle those heavy guns that used to weigh you down, or the small one?
I'm going to be dragging while walking.
When you're walking, you used to be dragging.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jervis fears these men won't remain at peace without the means to survive.
What kind of business you doing?
I said garden field.
On the sidewalk?
On the sidewalk.
Sidewalk salesmen make just pennies a day. Jervis wishes he could say that rehabilitation guarantees a job with a living wage.
One of the things that I realized about them is when you tell them something to take you at your word, but you must be able to deliver when it's time to deliver.
Without the guarantee of a decent job, Jervis can't convince these men to join the rehabilitation program.
The program is still on. The program is still on. One of our major concerns is where you people will go. God bless you.
He hates to leave former child soldiers behind. In the aftermath of Liberia's brutal civil war, Reverend Jervis Witherspoon wants rehabilitation and acceptance for every former child soldier.
Looking at the fact that they're coming from a state of anarchy and all that they knew or to do as young people was violence, I think we had to offer them an alternative lifestyle to be able to give up the old lifestyle and become an integral part of a normal society.
Even those who graduate soon discover the post-war economy has created no jobs. Today in the capital, Jonathan searches the market for a working graduate. He hopes to prove, if only to himself, that rehabilitation has practical value. He tries and fails to find anyone who's benefited. And then, he walks into a stall that advertises photocopies.
So you went to a DDR program?
I wanted to manage to follow my education before I school graduate.
That's very good.
During the Civil War, this former child soldier and his partner were on opposing sides. During rehabilitation, they learned the value of peace and photocopiers. Today, they make a decent living by Liberian standards, making copies and repairing the machines.
It's small business, but it's a real way of surviving.
On a nearby soccer field, Reverend Jervis Witherspoon finds more reasons for hope.
No problem, man. You know what you're playing. Now, Coach, how are the boys doing?
As you can see for yourself, their speed, their skills, everything is improving.
Yeah, but he was just telling me that...
To bring even the most damaged into the fold, Jervis recruits the former General Devil to coach a soccer team of war amputees.
I found it an opportunity to contribute towards my brethren who are also ex-combatants. So we are here working along with them, making sure that we can transform them into society, using my past as a testimony to bring them into the future.
These men, once outcasts, have become a source of national pride.
Ex-combatants who had given up hope, we have seen a great transformation in their lives. And I believe the sky is going to be the limit for them.
Where are we going? Up there. Hallelujah. We'll get to the top, okay? And we'll win the world trophy.
We have not heard of ex-combatants rioting or, going out, causing confusion in the society. I think people are beginning to see that out of them also can come good citizens of the country. The faith of Liberians have been built up so much that any crisis that happens in this country today, they will be able to withstand it. And God's will for this nation prevails. I believe that peace is going to be sustained.